Hey there, everyone. Welcome back. I wanted to play with this little deck today and show you, just because I think it's got some real depth to it. I do like the images. You're looking at the backs here. And this deck it does include writings by Barbara Moore. And I find anything that she sort of lends her hands to is quite a good deck, and this is good cardstock in this one. It is a Scarabeo deck, and if I look on the back of the little book, it came out in 2014, and I never played with it that much, but the more I find out about the Sabbats and the ways of Wicca and Pagan, this deck calls me back. And I was just going to share some of the stuff with you. In the little book at the front, along with the spread there on the left, it talks about the numbers. And it indicates that the numbers show the cycle of the year through the traditional pagan holidays. Those are neat because when you look at it, it says the one, so any of the number ones throughout the deck is referring to beginnings and seeds and the source of whatever that energy is, whether it is earth, air, fire, or water. 2 brings you to the Sabbat of Yule. 3 is Imbolc, 4 Ostara, 5 Beltane, 6 Litha, 7 Lammas, 8 Mabon, 9 Samhain, and 10 is the universe. And that's all included there in the little book. Yes, you get more information when you get into the separate suits, the wands and that. You can see that there's still more information there. But the spread that they have here, there's a certain method of doing it where you pull out certain cards and shuffle, and it gives you a theme. That would be the number 1. 2 is foundation. 3 aspirations. 4 things you need to release, and 5 action to take. But I thought, it does have some good little notes that we can use. For instance, the Fool there. Let me go all the way through that and get to that for you. It says, we are the fool when we are at a point where anything or almost anything is possible. And I'll zoom in there so you get a better look. There is a figure there in the distance, and you get the idea of drawing you in, and the tree represents knowledge. So this path that you're on or about to undertake leads you to a deeper understanding. It just seems to have, as I say, something a little bit extra. And the pathway is there for you if you're willing to take the risk. So that was kind of neat. It says there's no good and bad or right and wrong. Everything just is, because with the Fool, anything, almost anything, is possible. And I like the nighttime scenes of some of the cards in here. So then I'll go back again to the front here for the Magician, just because the words are a little bit different. Magic is the art and craft of creating change in the world, of co-creating with the universe. There's our lovely High Priestess. But it says in the little book too, it is time to close the book, enter the world of mystery, and put what you know into practice, and thereby turn knowledge into revelations and wisdoms. Our Empress. And with this one, it talks about things can grow too wild. Then the other things don't have enough. The Empress understands the ebb and the flow of life. Our Emperor, he is here to teach us responsibility. And he focuses on that versus his power. I thought this was great to have a high priest. The high priest provides guidance to help us live our ideals in the world, not just in our minds and in our hearts. And you've got the elements dancing there around his feet. And then we move on to the lovers. Follow the yearnings of our heart with clear thought and commit to the path with your whole self, body, mind, heart, and spirit. The Chariot with the baby all bundled up at the top. The secret is that opposing forces hold within themselves the seed of its opposite, and that they cannot exist without the other. Strength is harmony and cohesiveness between what you are and what you do. Being alone and removing all other influences is the best avenue to self-discovery. In this way, our light shines in the darkness and grows stronger. And this one talks about luck, chance, and fate. The wheel can bring a windfall just as easily as a loss. And the question is, how badly does a loss affect your balance? And how easy, I guess, that you might be able to come back from that loss. Now, this one is justice, and it speaks of our actions, our consequences. And although justice is blind and she sees with her inner eye to the inner motivations, she also sees a larger picture than any of us can hope to understand. The Hanged Man. It talks about different experiences and giving ourselves over to that with perfect love and perfect trust. And then we can hope to be enlightened with that as our reward for that effort. The Death card. It does talk about transitions and how they may be painful. Suffering is the anxiety of holding on to things that are changing. Death is change. It is not suffering. Temperance. Interesting that the water's not flowing from one cup to the other, but it's nourishing this flower and providing nourishment for the bird. So let's just see. Our daily life is an exchange of energies, a balance of aggression and reception. The Devil. Isn't that interesting for the Devil card? What should we cling to and what should we free ourselves from? Exploring these questions help us understand who we really are, which is the great work of magical and spiritual growth. The Tower. There's also a peacefulness that runs through this deck. Humans resist change, even when the things we cling to are no longer good for us. Sometimes the wise universe forces a change. Then we can examine what remains and make decisions and what to save and what to leave behind. The Star. As we pour our faith and trust into the world, we receive healing and guidance through the constant universal flow of the divine. Sort of like that chapel picture with the two hands coming down. The Moon. Changeable, mysterious, beguiling. She speaks to us in our dreams, our intuition. And by her light, we see less we see more, we see things differently. And there is the sun. So by the light of the sun, we can see clearly and make sense of the world. By the light of the sun, the world comes alive. The sun gives us energy, vitality, and joy. Judgment is the call from the divine that resonates with our soul. There is nothing of judgment in this card, just an invitation to discover and be your truest self. And then we have the world. Now it says we've reached an ending, graduating, getting a new job, marriage. The journey doesn't have to end with them, only pause for a moment of sweet celebration before continuing on. It's neat with the smaller tree there, echoing the same scenario as here. So I'm not going to give you all the information to all of them, but I thought the majors had some good stuff in it. So here is the chalices. It's nice with this one because she's returning to the tree. She just doesn't have her back against it, but she's really, with her hand there and her heart and her mind, she's tapping into the earth energy, to me, for comfort. Isn't that gorgeous? You see a lot of the High Priestess symbolism in the cards, whether they're reflecting in the cups or in the water. It sort of brings also some of the sprites that run through Poppy Palin's deck. The Queen and the King. Our Ace of Pentacles in that web of life connecting to all. That one's neat. Let's just pause and take a look and see what it says. Now this one speaks of possessiveness, guarding, and managing our resources, saving, protecting, and stewardship. Lots of little animals running through. The lighting is really spectacular on some of these. A little bit different than the Nine of Coins we're used to seeing. It says discipline, self-confidence, individual achievements, safety, security, solitude. A woman who loves her privacy. This one talks about loving the beauty and the gifts, sometimes a little bit too much, somewhat greedy, lazy, and can surface from time to time as that rare attitude of, oh, it's all about me. Our queen. And our king. Quite different thrones in those two. Now this one, Ace of Wands, Ace of Fire. Our 2. Three. You get that waiting feel. So this 5 of Wands has some of the conflict we sometimes see in the cards. But this competition is being worked out. Group efforts are involved. This one talks about events that have been set in motion. So we do have the communication, but we also have this runner. I think that there's a bigger kit to this, and so the book would have a lot more information. This talks about a woman who understands her own power and isn't afraid to use it. A great friend, but a dangerous enemy. And now we're into the swords. Lots of moons running through this deck. So we're going to be looking at logic and reason, intellect, clarity. So I think this would be a good deck if you've got some books on your shelf dealing with the Sabbats, and start to bring these cards into it. Use the numerology, try out the spread at the front, and then invent your own and bring these cards to the altars. It's neat. It says obsessive thought, sleeplessness, nightmares, worries, and depression. And this one, I like the wording at the bottom here, acknowledging and ending. Our page with another one of those imps running through it, or the energy of the suit. Our knight. Our Queen and our King. Very pretty. It mentions a little bit more about, as magical practitioners, one of the reasons we celebrate the Sabbats is to help turn the wheel. And although it will turn without us, it's one way to stay in alignment with the seasons as they change. So I think I haven't seen this reviewed too many times, and I'd like to know how many people actually use it for the Sabbats, enjoy the spread that it says. It's quite simple at the first with just 5 cards, and how many could use these on their altar for focus and intention as they work through each of the seasonal celebrations. And I like that there is the high priest in there. I think that's gorgeous. So I'm going to say, I think this is a very, very interesting deck, and it might, if you have the smaller version and enjoy it, maybe hunt out the bigger kit. I believe it was still on Amazon, maybe about $45 for the big kit. But I think the book, if you don't have a lot on the Sabbats, would be beneficial. So I'm going to say, have a great day, everyone.